everyone, it's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and I'm back today with video number 3 in my bead organization series. So this is just a series of videos I'm doing to share with you all how I store my beads and findings. It's not to say that you guys should store them the same way by any means, but I've had a lot of people ask me how I go about doing that. And that's what I'll be doing again today. This is just a rare peek right into my studio to see how I am storing all of these things. And like I said in the first 2 videos, the first ones, by the way, number 1 was on findings and number 2 was on my seed beads. So if you haven't seen those yet, definitely check them out. I will have them linked below, as well as the products that I am sharing with you in today's video. So that said, I want to make sure I mention again that I think everybody should find a method that works for them. Like I said, I'm not recommending this particular way or saying this is the best. I'm sure there's better ways to do it, but find out what you have around you first. See what you have that you could work with. And if a method isn't working for you, don't be afraid to try something different. Don't just stick with something that's not working, because I promise you that it will save you time and money in the end when you know what you have. You're not buying duplicates of things that you don't need to, and you're able to use up things that you may not even realize you have. So in this video number 3, I just wanted to bring you a look at how I store my crystals. And as you can see, we're back at the rolling storage carts again. I showed you the top 3 drawers of this particular cart, as well as that little purple and black case. Those hold my delicas, and then the top 3 drawers are my seed beads. Well, the 3 drawers below that actually hold my crystals. So I'll be showing you not only my high-end Swarovski crystals, but also how I store my Chinese crystals, like my bicones and rondelles, those things that we end up getting a lot of. And mainly I like to separate them by brand and by shape. I want to make sure that I'm keeping my Swarovski crystals, which is what you see here in this particular drawer, separate from my Chinese crystals, just because there is a big difference in the cost. Swarovski is pretty pricey, and I want to make sure that they don't get mixed in with other crystals. And usually I'm able to tell what's what, but this way I don't even have to think about it. They're just stored separately, and that's the way it is. So in this first drawer, you see that I have some more clear storage compartments. These are different than the ones that I showed in the seed bead video that had no dividers. Now, these particular clear storage units are ones that I had gotten from my local Dollar Tree. And to my excitement, they actually still carry them. And not only do they carry them in stores, but you can get them online. You can get them in a case of 24, which would be $24 plus shipping. And you can also buy them in smaller amounts, but I do think there's an extra upcharge for them having to separate the containers and boxes to deliver you a smaller amount. So just a heads up on that. I do actually have another order into Dollar Tree, since I did see they have more. That's how much I like these containers. And the reason being, as you can see, I can fit quite a few of them in each of these very slim drawers of my tall rolling cart unit. I'm able to get 12 of these in each of those drawers, just to let you know. And that even leaves a little bit of extra room for something else, but that's basically 12 containers times 11 compartments is like 132 different compartments of storage in just one slim little drawer, which is great for storing just a few things. And the fact that they're clear, I can see exactly what is in them. Also, because the Swarovski and crystal stones are larger, I don't have to worry about them spilling over into another part of the container. So this works really well. Not to mention the snap top lid is actually quite sturdy. So I find these are really wonderful based on my needs, and I don't like to have a bunch of different types of storage. So between these and my flip top containers that I've already shown you, and just a few of those acrylic boxes with lids that I'd gotten from Beads of the Month clubs, these are mainly what I stick with. They're stackable, so if I want to take these out, for example, I could stack them on a work table. I could move them into another drawer. So I don't have to take a whole drawer of Swarovski crystal to my workspace if I don't want to. If I'm trying to work with a specific size, for example, 14mm Rivolis, I can just take this container, bring it over to my workspace, and match it up to whatever I am doing, or pick out my colors. And since I know I'm going to be working with that particular size, and I probably already know that I want a Swarovski stone, if it's something that I'm doing that's a little bit more special, it makes it really easy. And I also can tell what I have. So that's my 14mm Rivolis. I also have a box containing some 12mm, so I know exactly what I have. Now, I'd recommend labeling these with the size. I haven't done that yet, and I probably will, although I kind of know what's what just based on what I have. So this is just to show you how I'm separating the contents of these Swarovski items, not only separating them in another drawer from my other crystals, but also just showing you how I have particular stones like this sorted by size. Some of the things I do have stored separately with my Eureka Crystal Beads collections. I do keep those together for a few months after those arrive, just in case I want to work with specific contents that have come in those. Here are my cushion cut stones, the little square ones, so pretty. Flip those over. Just love looking at how sparkly and gorgeous these are. Back here, I have a container of chaton stones. And then I also have up front containing the specific sew-on settings that I have for those. So these are in all different sizes, mostly 8mm, I believe. And then I have this larger guy here that came from a dollar bead box. And you can get really specific with how you label these things. For my needs, I don't really have to do that. But if you're making things particularly where you are trying to price them out based on the cost, you could even label the separate compartments with the cost of the item. You could label them with the specific name. So I could really get a lot more specific with my labeling. As you can see, my labeling is very limited, but I also have the ability to go back and look at every single thing I've unboxed if I wanted to, and find out exactly what something is if I don't remember. So this is another container containing some of my irregular shapes, maybe some drops, some pendants, some pear shapes. And there they are, so sparkly and gorgeous. So those are in their own separate container. And then finally in this drawer, I have a container with my larger Swarovski stones. I mean, just look at that one. Holy cow. Yeah, so these are things that I want to keep separate. They are a little bit more special and they are really hard for me to part with. I had to get another one of these red stones from Eureka Crystal Beads that I used in that necklace tutorial with the prismatic right angle weave rope. There's just something about the Swarovski, they're kind of hard to part with sometimes. So that would be drawer number 1 of my crystal storage. And next we're gonna get into some Swarovski beads. We looked at the stones that I have, but I also have my bicones, my rondelles, and things like that. Here you can see those acrylic storage containers with no dividers, like I showed you before in the seed bead video. And these are holding my beads. You can also see that I'm still using my favorite flip top containers inside of these acrylic containers, which I have been actually having a hard time hunting down a link for these specific acrylic containers, by the way. There are other containers that are shaped like this, and I meant to say it in the seed bead video, I don't recommend just any of these containers. The reason I like the ones I was using in the seed bead video is because they are crystal clear and they're not cloudy, and also because the lids on some of them that you buy, they're not all created equal and some come off really easily. The ones that I like to use, the lids are so sturdy that I've dropped these little Tic Tac like containers before on the floor and no beads have spilled out, and that is amazing because I'm pretty clumsy sometimes. So as you can see, I have my Swarovski crystal bicones separated by color in the little Tic Tac flip top like containers inside of these acrylic cases with the lids. You can do something similar to that if you want. And again, if I know that I'm using Swarovski bicones, I can just bring over this one particular container. I don't have to bring over a whole drawer or bring things over one at a time. Or even worse, sift through a bag of bags and figure out what's what. So everything's pretty well organized, and these are all the same 4mm size. And then behind that, I have another container, and this one is holding my 6mm size Swarovski crystals. And here is a closer look. I use all different sizes of these flip top containers. Like I said before, this happens to be the one that is around 3 inches. And I also like to have ones that are closer to maybe 1.5, 1.25 inch. I also use these in my wall storage unit system, which I'll get into again on another video. And since I have so many of these, that's what I go with. So again, use what you have, but I do really love these particular flip tops, as you can see, that are crystal clear. There's no difference in the color between what you're looking at on the side and what you're looking at inside. And not to mention, these lids fit on and snap on nice and tight, and they're not going anywhere. So in particular, I've seen ones that are called the Doris brand. I do not recommend that one. I've tried that one personally before, and they just happen to be kind of cloudy and they just weren't for me, but maybe I'm just picky, I don't know. Here is another container. This one is housing some of the faceted rounds. I have some cubes. I have some other interesting bead shapes that are different than bicones basically in this particular container. Even some little butterflies back here. So this container just housing some of those more unique Swarovski crystal shapes. And then finally this one, this is housing my either really teeny tiny like 3mm Swarovski bicones, or the larger, like 8mm or larger. Since I don't have as many of those, I just went ahead and put those together. But bottom line is, I know that whatever is in this drawer, not only is everything separated by color and by size or shape for the most part, but they're also all Swarovski crystal, which I want to keep separate than the Chinese crystal, which are housed in this drawer below that. So this is my third drawer I'm showing you today. And as you can see, I'm actually reusing these Potomac Beads Best Bead boxes for the Chinese crystal that I have to store. One of the reasons for that is because, again, I'm using what I have and I recommend you do that. These happen to be wonderful reusable boxes and I like to use them whenever I can because they have a sturdy magnetic closure lid. The cardboard is sturdy. And they're nice and clean and white and uniform to look at in my drawers. And I just happen to like that too. So, because these are Chinese crystal, they're a lot less expensive than Swarovski. I feel like I don't need to see these as clearly as the Swarovski, so I keep them in these opaque boxes where I don't necessarily need to see them at a glance. For example, everything in here is an 8x6mm Chinese crystal rondelle. I know that because the box is labeled that way, and if I'm looking for that particular shape, I'll just pull this box out. Just like I said with my seed beads, I don't need to see them on a regular basis. I know I have Chinese crystal, I know I have all different sizes of rondelles, and when I need them, I'll just pull them out. And that's why this is something I don't mind storing in a drawer with a lid that I can't particularly see through. This next Potomac box is storing my crystal rounds. And again, you can see that I am utilizing the flip top containers for the storage of these crystals too. And also I want to mention that I did have some and do have some of the flip top containers I don't like as much that are more cloudy or the lids are looser. And I use those more for things like this, more for the lesser expensive beads, the ones that I don't have to worry about quite as much. So I still use the ones that I had gotten, even if they're not my favorite. It would be a waste for me not to. But here you can see I have my Chinese crystal rounds. They're stored in the flip top containers once again, and the box is labeled accordingly, and they're with my other Chinese crystal. And then in this next box, I have my 4mm Chinese bicones. I do want to point out I do have some other Chinese crystal, such as I have a drawer right near me I can pull out that is also housing things like this I have gotten from BB Craft, but I keep the BB Craft items separate for the most part because I work with them on a monthly basis and I need to know what I've gotten from them and what I've gotten from elsewhere. So I do have more 4mm Chinese crystal bicones than this, but these I have gotten from other locations for the most part. A couple other favorite products of mine before I let you go to use in my crystal storage, as well as a lot of other types of storage, are my P-Touch label maker that is by Brother. This has been fantastic. It's been a workhorse, and I highly recommend this unit. You can use all different colored tapes. You can do different fonts and have a lot of fun with it and print out multiple labels, especially the same label, at the same time. So I love that label maker. I also utilize something I shared in the last video, which are these colorful dot labels. And I have a system in place where I know what particular color corresponds to what particular store to help me to remember where I got something or which bead box something came in, so I don't actually have to write it, it's just by color. And then I can write the date, I can write the cost, I can write the name, whatever I want on the label, and then stick it on the Tic Tac container. So those are my favorite labeling systems that I found that work for me. Like I said, I will leave the product links to everything down below, including the rolling storage carts that I use, and even these containers that I had gotten from the Dollar Tree that you can get for $1 each at dollartree.com, or at your local store. They may have them in their stores depending on your location. And of course, I'll leave the links to the flip top containers too right down below the video. Remember, it's great to have a system of storage that works and evolves with your beading. You want to take into account what exactly you have that you're storing, because you may have things that are totally different than me, or you may be overflowing with certain things that I'm not. So you have to kind of decide for yourself what types of systems will work for you, what containers you need, and check and see what you have on hand first before feeling like you have to buy a whole new system. But the systems that I've put in place, they haven't been too terribly expensive, and they're things that I know I'm going to use for the long haul, that I started with little by little just to make sure and get used to these products and to make sure that they were actually something I liked. And then I later stocked up on a lot of the same containers. You'll see these 11 drawer organizers again when I do a gemstone bead storage video. And that's what's been working for me. So I hope you enjoyed this installment of this bead storage series, taking a peek into my little work area and seeing how I store my crystal beads. I'll be back, like I said, with more of these videos, hopefully a new topic each week or so. I know for sure I'll be coming back soon for multi-hole beads and possibly combining those with check glass in general, and also gemstone beads. So I hope you'll stick around for more storage videos. I hope you guys find out what works for you, and maybe this sparked an idea for you, maybe something you didn't already think of. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a big thumbs up, and please subscribe while you're here. I'd love to have you come back for future videos, not just storage, but tutorials, unboxings, and all of those different things. And most importantly, please leave a comment down below if you'd like to share any of your ideas for your crystal storage, whether it be Swarovski or your Chinese crystal or whatever other type of crystal you may have, because I think we can all learn a lot from each other, and what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another person, and we can all learn new tips and tricks from each other. So a huge thank you to you all those who asked to see my bead storage. I hope this was helpful or just fun for you to see what I have. I'll be back again real soon, and in the meantime, I hope you guys have a fabulous rest of your day. I hope you're staying healthy and inspired, and as always, happy beading.